Okay, so there we go, back over here. So hopefully it won't all fall apart. You can see what we've done with these tyres now, just to give them this look. Before they went very, very white over there. And this is what we're saying about, if you catch this on the angle, it does look very, very light. And that's because the flat coats are heavy. Under a microscope, looking across it, it looked like a mountain range, okay? And that's what it is. So when you're looking at it square on, like from down here, it should look okay. But when you start to turn it, you might get a little light pastel-y appearance in there and all the rest of it. So, but that's the thing. Personal choice of how you do these things. I always quite like the look, nice dead flat look, okay, without looking chalky, okay, and it's just catching it at that point and doing something like that where you're thinking, okay, I've gone too far, I need to go back. You can go back now and take care of it. There is other little techniques you can do to it. Obviously you can go along and dry brush the entire thing, okay, and then that gives you a nice three-dimensional tone. I think it's a long-winded way of doing it and all the rest of it when you can just go over it with a coat of gloss. We've still got a nice flat finish, we've got a good texture for everything to go on, but you know, at the same time, it's good enough to take washes and repel stuff and all the things and give a nice flat look, okay? But there we go, that's how we are looking now. So what we want to do is, now we've got it sort of sealed down, is we can do the black work for the windows, which is going to make this thing pop. So at the end of the day, it's no easy way to this one. There was no right or wrong way. I thought about masking it, unmasking it, showing it. I think it's easier just to paint them completely afterwards. So the easiest way I've done it is good old friend Mr. Gloss Black. Okay, we're using the white top blacks. You could, if you wanted to use, I think I've actually got some up there, some Gloss Black by Tamiya. I've just got this one to hand, to be honest. And the thing is, I do quite like this one for brush painting. I find it brush paints just a little bit better, shall we say, than other people's. Big secret, obviously brush marks. Hand painting acrylics, everybody knows it's a real problem. Airbrush cleaner has got some natural things in there that help self-level things, okay? i.e. it's got retarders in there and stuff like that, okay? You don't need gallons of it, just a few drops. Now, which is our nice brush for this one? I think it must be this one. Just make sure we have got the right one. Okay, let's clean that, yep. Okay, so what we're going to do here is just mix the two together. Okay, now the thing about using the white top Vallejo colours is that they are great for hand painting. Not so much through an airbrush because you have to thin them from an inch of their life, but for hand painting, they really are fantastic. They've got great self-leveling, the capillary action's beautiful. So what happens is, no brush marks, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do, we've only got the 4 main ones to do because we've got these done already, although you can obviously give them a second coat. So what you have to do is really get in and have a look around. So what we're going to do is start on this front one. So I'm just going to dab in, and we're going to dab and push around, okay, all the areas. And we're going to take it up to the edges. Now it's going to be a 2-coat thing, this. But as you can see, it's got great capillary action. And then hopefully you won't go over, and that's the thing, hopefully not going over. All right, so but we can put these in. Okay, and just keep revolving it and maneuvering it and all those things so you get it into the right position, because the natural break, well, not the right, the join is what we want to work with. So we need this to flow over the top so we get no joins, but it goes down there. Okay, so again, start with a nice good blob in the middle. Get rid of that guy, we'll have to touch that in a moment. Okay, and then pushing around and let capillary action doing its job. We can just draw it round into all these areas. Now the windscreen wipers I've only glued at one end, so hopefully they're going to pull out the way in a moment, so we can get in the gap at the top. Okay, and then what we can do is we can overcoat these with gloss just to finish them off and give them that real deep black look to them all. Okay, but because we're going over flat, it's fighting it everywhere. But that's the type of look we're going for, all right? Best to let it dry, do a couple of coats of it, exactly the same way. But these guys back here are the real problem ones. Okay, so it's just a case of getting it in to all those areas so you can sort of see it going round. And because you've got oils that were down on here before, it should all aid with the capillary action. Okay. But it is that thing. I'm trying desperately not to rush it now as I'm doing this to show you guys, but it's force of habit. Unfortunately, you tend to try and rush these things. But I always had a worry that none of this glass work was ever going to fit. And I'm probably justified there. None of it's a particularly nice fit. So doing it this way just improves the look of absolute everything, okay? And then, as I say, we'll go round and we'll re-gloss just the glass work, couple of coats with a good gloss just to make it all sit nicely and go in. But this is the bit where sort of the make or break. Okay, might need a slightly smaller brush here, but we're just going to try and get it in that corner. And there we go. So we've got our last one just round here. And then what we're going to do with all of these things, give it a little bit of time just to dry off between coats so it totally cures. Otherwise, if you don't give it enough time, what's going to happen is it's going to crack. And you're going to get that sort of crazy cracked eggshell look, crazy type look to all of it, okay? Alright, so we're just literally beginning to rush it now, so slowing down, almost sticking my finger in the other one, this is the point. Okay, taking a generous amount for the middle and let the capillary action and self-leveling bit all do the work. Because what you want it to do ideally is the edge to start to run around, and I've done that already. I knew it was going to happen at some point. Stick my finger in one side to the other. Still covered. Alright. And as I say, this is just one coat of many it's going to have, but obviously your next coats aren't going to have to be as detailed because you don't have to run it right the way to the edges. Okay, this one you just need to take your time with it and get it up to the edges. But there we go, that's those going on there. Pop that down and getting in there, giving us our nice black window. It's looking quite nice at the moment on camera, but if you catch it in the light there, you can see its angles on that one as well, on the front ones. So we're just going to let it go. I'm going to let them dry off, as I said, give it around about sort of half an hour, come in with the next one, and then that one's going to be a thicker coat. It's not going to be as thin, they're going to go on there. They're going to totally dry, and then we're going to re-gloss the lot. All the glass work's going to get a nice thick heavy coat, and that'll give us our nice window tinted look to the entire thing. Same time now we're clear of this, we can actually get the front wheels glued into place, because all the weathering we need to do as a whole now, so you don't want any separate parts, things like that on there, when you can do it as a one. Okay, so now it's time to get in there and give this some serious weathering. Okay, we're not going to go massively over the top, because obviously we've done the wash type of thing to grime it down. Now we just want to do some sort of grime effects down the lower half. So really what you want to do is draw yourself a line of exactly how it is. So on something like this, I'm thinking from this cut area here, okay, to the sort of mid or the upper rim here. So you're sort of going to draw a line. Everything below is going to be a little bit sort of weathered. So for doing this one, we're going to use pigments, all right? So the great thing with pigments, we've used before with oils, you've got a certain amount of control over them. So all we're going to do, taking a little bit of thinners, okay, all we're going to do is just going to brush it lightly over the areas we're thinking about, okay? Just like so, in that grill. Alright, then we're going to take some pigment. Now this is the mid-earth colour, so we're just going to take some of that, and all we're going to do is just going to drop bits over it, and these will melt into the actual texture. Okay, also what you can do, grab hold of a bit like here, okay, we're just going to put it on, and as you notice it hits the actual thinner, it then starts to become grimy and it starts to turn into like a paint. Okay, so we're just going to brushing some of this around just in some various areas. Okay, and as you can see, quite a bit down this front here, but don't go any higher than the fixer or the actual thinner that you've used. Alright, so for this part it's just going to come down these lower edges. Okay, just going to pop a little bit down in here. on this area. Okay, you're just going to lift it up just a little bit higher up there. Okay, then once that's in, coming back with your thinner brush, rubbing quite a bit off. Okay, so it's almost like dry brushing. What we're going to do now is just going to streak it downwards and blend it all type of together, okay? Okay, so we're just going to put a little bit on these tyres, and then we're going to do some directional just to flick them all around. Okay, then it's just a case of drying off your brush completely. Okay, and then popping back. And this time you can sort of go up and down movements, and this will give you a sort of streaky dirt. But what you want to do is avoid this. We've got a little tide mark in here, so we're just going to rub over it gently, and then we're just going to go up and down. Okay, and then just down the back here, we're just going to then sort of blending it through, as I say, all these areas, and we're just going to sort of coming across ways now, because now we're just coming in for that sort of speed line. And if you see any of those sort of tide marks, just flick them out the way. Okay, just up and down, and that's the type of effect we're going for. I don't know, best camera for this one. It's one of those areas, you can see it's just got that sort of grime to it. Now obviously you could use different colours and go right the way through. You can put different shades on it and stuff like that, but if you look underneath nice and clean, and then you can see here, but hopefully you sort of just catch it. It's sort of just got that dirtiness to it, but also, you know, you can take this back at any point and just sort of rub it in. But what I like to do, once it's got it over there, just give a light sort of blending rub all the way over, and you just change that colour and pull it around a bit, because we're trying to give the effect of dirt and grime obviously down here on the back car on the lower side. All right, so once that's in and start to dry back, you can come back and just give it a normal pigment scrub right the way over it. Okay, so to do something like that, as I say, it's a bit messy like here, but we'll just show you on this bit. We're just going to take some of the pigment, okay, without doing that, into the cap. Okay, just dusting it off now. Then all we're going to do is just going to lightly go over the top, and this will flatten it down again and give it a flattish look and effect, because all the dusty bits will be absorbed by the actual fixers and your thinner or whatever you're using, and give you a bit of a drier look. Okay, so we're just going to come down here now around these tyres just to weather them in. But the whole idea is just to give it a sense of dirt on this lower edge and give that sort of worn, muddy type look. Okay, just like that, and that's as far as we want to go. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of just basically the same in this area up here. So again, we're just going to use a little bit of, I'm using fixer, but you could use thinners or anything else you like. Okay, right the way over, grab a little bit of pigment, mixing that colour in. Okay, just on this top edge, maybe a little bit just here, but it won't be much on these higher areas. Okay, and then when that's in there, drying off the brush, we're just gonna scrape it down off that tyre and flipping it up now over the front end. So we're just flicking it as would naturally the dirt sort of accumulate. Once we're done, happy, grab your brush, with the dry, this will just give it the dust and the grime and everything, enable it to stick together. Okay, something like that. All right, And that's all we're going to do. So as you can see now it's drying back on the wheels. You can see it dries down the wheels, okay, and just gives us a slight grimy look. I just want it to look a little bit dirty, don't want it to look too nice. And obviously this will go right the way over, and then what we'll do is we're just going to take a little bit of this pigment, this mid colour, and we're just going to very lightly just going to give it a little scrub right the way over everything, just to blend it all together, just to blend it down. Just remember, make sure your paintwork for your windows is dry by now, because this will come off and then we can re-gloss them afterwards. Okay, it just goes around, and there we go. There's that half done, just like that. All right, so I'm going to do the other side just the same, and then we're getting near the end of the build. Okay, so looking really good. Careful where we handle this thing now. But as you can see, nice bit of grime, dirt, mud, usual bits and pieces all up the side. It could be dry brushed afterwards if you wanted to go for more sort of cleaner look. But there we go, that's that side done. Personally, I want it to look muddy. Well, not muddy, but you know, a little bit grimed. Now, big thing is the wheels. Because obviously if you've got grime on the outside, by nature you're going to have grime in these. Really straightforward for this one. All you want to do, take pigment fixer or turpentine or anything else you want to use, okay, and then just lightly brush over the tread of the tyre. Do one at a time, then take the colour of whatever it is you're using, okay, so then you just take a brush full of your pigment, okay, and then just brush it in the top. What happens is it will stick inside the grooves, as you can see here, actually gets held on. Okay, and obviously you're going to have to get it out the others, but you can see now you leave it in the grooves of the tyres just to give it that type of nice look. Okay, so we're just going to do that, brush it over, spin the tyre around, hopefully it's going to continue around. Okay, now you might find, or hopefully you'll find it's actually not done it here, but usually when you do this, the actual capillary action takes the terps or your thinner off on a merry little jaunt all the way around the other side. Okay, so you might need 2 goes at it. Okay, just dab that in. Okay, taking it back, spin it round a bit more. Okay, spinning round. Take it from down here now. You can just give them a nice rub everywhere. Okay, once you're done, we're just going to brush off the excess down here. Take it away, give it a blow. Okay, position your wheel how you want to, and there we go. One dirty now and one clean. All right, so obviously depending on how much you rub at this, you can take a little bit off or add a bit, whichever you want to do, and that's how we're going to get the scuffness and the grip looking to it. But the fixer, what it will do, all it does is eat slightly into the surface and then it grips and welds itself on. If you don't, it's just going to rub off quite easily. Okay, but the only thing is, make sure you do your inside as well, because you might see it in there. We've got some clean bits, so what we're going to have to do, come along, and we're just going to have to scuff it slightly down in the inside area, just down here, just to make it look good. And what I'm going to do now is just going to give it a rub with my finger, just so it looks like it's got some taken off. Okay, just like that. All right, and that's really it, as simple as that. So what I'm going to do now, I'll go around, do that all to the wheels, exactly the same to the back ones, you just got bigger tread. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is another quick glance, hand paint gloss onto the glass work. Might need 2 or 3 goes with that one. Okay, and when that one's done, we're ready for the final reveal. Okay, and there we go. So I'm just buffing up the exhaust. We've done these exhausts before. Basically, it's the metallizer paints. We just use this one, the dark iron colour, number 212, and then by using the same brush, you just sort of dry brush once you've painted it on, you can actually make this stuff really shine. Big secret we're doing this though is literally tips of the bristles and just flicking it all the time. You don't want to be ripping into it too much, otherwise what's going to happen is you're literally just going to scrape it off and it's not going to come off brilliantly well. But hopefully you can see, the more you literally just dance the bristles over it, you actually polish this back up, And I know it's probably not quite realistic, but it gives it a really nice look because there's no shiny parts on the entire of this model. And then by doing this, we get a nice shiny part. Okay, so hopefully, see that? Gives it a nice job down there. So there we go, that's it, fully completed. We've glossed the windows. So as you can see, bit of gloss going on there. They're still drying, to be honest. They're still a little bit wet. But there we go. There is Tumbler all done. Nice and grimy on the side. You know me, never like to do anything clean. So we've done it nice and grimy. Flatted down these wheels as well. Again, no real problem with them. I was really concerned about the tyres and just how they looked and everything else. But now hopefully you can see them on there. They've just got that flat look to them and everything else. And generally, just working our way over Tumbler, it's actually one of those models where you have it in your mind's eye how you want it to come out, and then as time goes on you sort of change and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do this to it, we're going to do that to it, and various things. Because my initial mindset, I always wanted to do it in the Splinter camo, the Urban Splinter, but I had different variations of how I was going to do it, and then it's only when I started to build it I started to think, right, okay, we're going to grime it down, we're going to give it a dirty, heavy look, because Tumbler by its nature is extremely heavy. We want to have that appearance, so it doesn't matter how it is, we want it to look like a brick and be sat down here just like that. Really happy how the camo came out. I'm really happy how the colour came out. I'm really happy over this weathering as well. A couple of things, a bit nasty, you got the Moebius thing underneath it and all the trademark stuff, but I suppose they have to have it. It's been a great model, loved working on it. A little bit flashy, but then speaking to other modelers, they haven't had any flash on there, so it could have been just my kit. Generally the fit issues, things like that, nothing that you couldn't put right with sort of 10 minutes worth of work and just sorting it out. It's a great subject, let's face it, who doesn't love the Tumbler? It is a fantastic movie, sort of, you know, icon and everything else like that, and it's been lovely to build it and to go through it. And now I'm in that mind, I'd love to do another one now, because, yeah, it would be nice to have the black one, obviously the standard sort of, you know, Batman one, as well as doing Splinter Tumbler as well. But I've enjoyed it, I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, join me again next time.